The necklace glowed against the dirt-stained shirt like a piece of sunlight that refused to die. In the middle of a crowded street, buzzing with noise, car horns, and hurried footsteps, billionaire CEO Adrian Cole felt the world stop spinning. His breath caught in his chest. He would have recognized that necklace anywhere. He had chosen it himself 20 years ago, a delicate gold pendant with a rare amber stone at its center, and fastened it around the neck of the woman he once believed would grow old beside him. And now it hung from the neck of a homeless child. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the idea that even broken stories can find healing, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that compassion still matters. Adrian stood frozen on the sidewalk, his polished shoes inches from puddles left by last night's rain. Just moments earlier, he had stepped out of his black luxury car, adjusting his tailored suit as assistants hurried behind him. He was on his way to finalize a multi-million-dollar acquisition that would expand his company's global reach. His life was a masterpiece of control, precision, and success. At least that's what the world believed. But none of that mattered now. The boy couldn't have been more than 8 years old. His clothes were worn thin, dust clinging to his skin like a second layer. Yet his eyes were sharp, alert, and strangely familiar. The necklace shimmered faintly in the afternoon light, as if it carried a memory that refused to stay buried. Adrian felt a wave of dizziness as fragments of his past came crashing back. He remembered the night he gave the necklace to his wife, Ilara. It had been their 5th anniversary. They were young then, struggling financially, but rich in dreams. He had promised her that one day he would build an empire and give her the world. She had laughed and told him she didn't need the world, just him. The amber stone symbolized warmth and endurance, a reminder that love could survive storms. But storms came. As Adrian's company grew, so did his ambition. Late nights turned into missed anniversaries. Business trips replaced family dinners. Ilara's quiet loneliness became arguments, and arguments became silence. Eventually, silence became absence. Their divorce was swift and cold, like a business transaction. She left with very little, refusing his financial offers, taking only a small suitcase and that necklace. He never saw her again. And now, decades later, here stood a child, wearing the only piece of their shared past. Adrian approached slowly, his heart pounding louder than the city around him. The boy looked up, wary but unafraid. There was something in his posture, a quiet resilience, that felt achingly familiar. Adrian's mind raced. How could this child have that necklace? Had Ilara sold it, lost it, or was there something far deeper he had never known? The driver and assistants exchanged confused glances as Adrian knelt down, ignoring the dust that settled onto his expensive trousers. For the first time in years, he wasn't thinking about quarterly reports or stock prices. He was thinking about regret. He learned that the boy's name was Micah. He lived in a nearby shelter after losing his mother to illness just months ago. They had struggled for years, moving from place to place. The necklace, Micah explained softly, had belonged to his mother. She told him it was the only proof that love once existed in her life. Adrian felt something inside him shatter. Micah's mother had been named Ilara. The world seemed to tilt. Adrian's chest tightened as the realization unfolded with terrifying clarity. The boy's age, the timeline, the familiar shape of his eyes, the quiet strength in his voice. All the years he had poured himself into building an empire, never knowing that somewhere a piece of his heart had been growing up without him. Ilara had never told him. Perhaps she had tried, and he had been too busy to listen. Perhaps pride kept her silent. Perhaps she wanted to protect her child from a man who had chosen ambition over love. The questions burned, but the answers no longer mattered as much as the truth standing before him. Adrian saw with painful clarity the cost of his success. Towers of glass and steel meant nothing compared to the fragile boy standing in front of him, clutching a necklace that carried decades of untold pain. For the first time in his life, Adrian felt small. That afternoon, he cancelled the acquisition meeting. His board members were stunned. Investors were confused, but none of them knew what he had just discovered on a crowded sidewalk. Adrian began visiting the shelter daily. At first, Micah remained guarded, unsure of this sharply dressed stranger who asked too many questions, but Adrian persisted, not with money, but with presence. He listened to stories about Ilara, how she sang while cooking simple meals, how she worked tirelessly despite her illness, how she always told Micah he was born from love, not regret. Each story was a blade and a balm at the same time. Adrian quietly arranged better living conditions for the families at the shelter, funding education programs and healthcare without attaching his name to the donations. He started a foundation in Ilara's memory, dedicated to single mothers fighting impossible battles alone. For the first time, his wealth felt like a tool instead of a trophy. The greatest challenge wasn't rebuilding his public image. It was earning the trust of a boy who had learned to survive without him. Adrian had to confront his own guilt, to accept that no amount of money could return lost years. There were nights he sat alone in his penthouse, staring at old photographs, whispering apologies to a woman who would never hear them. Slowly, Micah began to soften. He noticed that Adrian never missed a visit. He noticed the way Adrian's eyes filled with tears whenever Ilara's name was mentioned. He noticed the quiet consistency, something money couldn't fake. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Micah placed the glowing necklace in Adrian's hand for the first time. It was no longer just a symbol of lost love. It was a bridge between past mistakes and future hope. Adrian didn't try to erase the past. Instead, he chose to build something new. Legal steps were taken, careful and respectful. Trust was earned day by day, and in the process of becoming the father he never knew he was, Adrian discovered something more valuable than power: redemption. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and comment below. Your engagement helps stories of compassion reach more people who need them. And before we close, I have a special request. Comment the word hope if you believe it's never too late to make things right. Years later, the amber necklace still shone, but now it rested in a safe place, no longer a relic of regret, but a symbol of second chances. Adrian's empire continued to grow, yet it was no longer the center of his world. Micah was. Because sometimes the most powerful acquisition a CEO can ever make is not another company, but the courage to reclaim his own heart.